This evening, GWI hosts exhibition in honor of World Water Day. Vice President announces a reduction in gas excise tax. The Minister of Health emphasized the need for adolescent COVID-19 vaccination as schools in Guyana prepares to reopen on April 25th. In the region, Jah Cure sentenced to 6 years in prison for attempted manslaughter. And internationally, the Taliban closes Afghan Girls School hours after reopening. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Updates. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. Earlier today, Vice President Dr. Jah Cure declared that the excise tax on fuel importation would be reduced to zero, easing the burden on the citizens in the face of rising costs in living. Just under 2 weeks ago, gas prices soared at the pumps around the country. Depending on the service station, prices increased from roughly $20 to $40 per litre. Today, Dr. Jah Cure posted on his Facebook page, excise tax on gasoline and diesel now reduced from 50% to zero. With the announcement of excise taxes being reduced to zero, Guyanese are now anticipating the reduced prices at the pumps. In observation of World Water Day 2022, Guyana Water Incorporated hosted an exhibition at the National Cultural Center Tarmac on Tuesday, March 22nd. Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell, speaking at the exhibition, said with the increase in demand for water in Guyana, all the country's water source must be protected to ensure reliable, safe and clean water distribution to citizens. In this regard, he said the administration had set clear objectives and targets towards achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, number 6, water and sanitation for all by 2030.
We have to explore, analyze, and monitor our groundwater resources to better protect and manage them. To do this requires accountability, new technologies to optimize water usage, data, very important, that can inform policy decisions on the water sector.
Minister Crowell said for the period of 2020 to 2022, more than $21.5 billion has been invested in water and sanitation.
Wakenham, Providence ongoing, Luziknan we've just commissioned, Diamond, Parika Bagdam which is nearing completion, and also of course the numbers for the hinterland. Replacing, as was just reminded, replacing old transmission mains at Vicinjon Road, Newtown Kitty on Republic Street in Newtown Kitty, Cemetery Road, even Bartica. So as a result of these simple interventions, we will see more than 11,000 citizens who will now have access to potable water as well as improve access for the first time.
Guyana Water Incorporated's Chief Executive Officer Sheikh Bash was also at the event to commemorate the World Water Day 2022, which was observed under the theme, Groundwater, Making the Invisible Visible. Bash said, to support the government's massive housing drive, there will be a need for an additional 150 wells on the coast and hinterland regions.
In the hinterland alone, over the next 3 years, 140 wells. These are smaller wells, of course. And in the coastal belt to support the dynamic drive by the Ministry of Housing and Water in the housing sector. We have done a study already. We've completed that and this will be handed over to the Minister in the coming week. We have studied the 29 new housing development areas and we have looked at the sources of water supply required for this housing drive. And we've come up with a figure of between 8 to 10 new wells will be required over the next 3 to 4 years.
Several agencies, including the Guyana Water Incorporated, Environmental Protection Agency, United Nations Children's Fund, and the Hydrometeorological Service of the Ministry of Agriculture, had their products on display at the event. 16 families that were relocated to farm and Hearst-Stelling housing schemes by the Ministry of Housing and Water to pave the way for the construction of the Eccleston Diamond 4-lane road will soon see their homes completed. On Tuesday, Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell visited the plantation Hearst-Stelling and engaged some of the new homeowners who expressed satisfaction with the relocation process and their new homes. Last year, the Central Housing and Planning Authority worked with 35 Keenview families to relocate them in preparation for the 4-lane road. Already, 25 families have signed agreements with the ministry for the relocation. As of March 22, 2022, 16 families have begun construction on their new structures, with 4 families indicating that they will be able to move into their new homes completely within the next 2 weeks. The homeowners who resided along the path of the road were consulted with and agreements were signed. The valuation office appraised their existing properties at current market worth, and those who agreed have already been reimbursed and work has begun. According to the ministry, the residents have been relocated to a community that is more cohesive, sustainable, and safe, equipped with access to basic amenities such as electricity and water. Stick around after the break. The Minister of Health emphasized the need for adolescent COVID-19 vaccination as schools reopen in April. And Kanu made a multi-million-dollar cannabis bust on the east bank of the Marara.
Maison Francois is the chocolate paradise of Guyana. From the moment you enter our store, you are welcomed by the sweet aroma of Belgian chocolate, pastries, and other artisanal treats handmade by our European-trained chef. Our convenient location at the City Mall is the perfect place to take that special someone or to take home a little sweetness. So treat yourself with a taste of Paris in the heart of Georgetown, only at Maison Francois.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
In a world filled with copycats and ever-changing trends, make your property stand out with unique concrete moldings. Different, exquisite designs, carefully handcrafted to suit your style, with various customizable and antique and modern designs made at our factory. Antique and Modern Molding Establishment. We make your property outstanding. We make and install all moldings anywhere in Guyana.
The best quality, affordable prices, on-the-spot quotes, and no hidden fees.
Call us or WhatsApp us at 684-5050 or email us at modernestab@gmail.com. Antique and Modern Molding Establishment, made to stand out.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton, and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 4-6 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop, be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
Welcome back. When the pandemic hit in 2020, schools countrywide closed their doors indefinitely, while the Ministry of Education implemented a rotation system to reintegrate students into the system. Schools will resume fully on April 25th following the Easter break. With the pandemic still ongoing, Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony has reiterated the importance of adolescent vaccination to keep them safe from the disease. While it is critical for children to return to school, he noted that there is still a number of ongoing cases throughout the country. As a result, getting vaccinated is one way to ensure their safety while at school.
Well, I think it's important that we return back to school. Children would have been out of school for the past 2 years or so, and despite our efforts to continue their education, it is not the same as if you're in a classroom and teachers are working directly with you. So I know that the Ministry of Education felt that there has been a substantial learning loss and that they have to work on a plan to see how they can recover this learning loss. So it's important that we do that, and the faster we get back to school, I think that would help. From a COVID point of view, as you know, the pandemic is still on. Fortunately, we have not been seeing a lot of cases recently, and we will continue to work and put all the measures in place to monitor and see what is happening with the pandemic in Guyana. Now, vaccines are available, and it is astonishing that you have something that can help to reduce the severity of COVID, and we still have hesitancy where parents are not allowing their children to come forward and get vaccinated. So again, as you pointed out in the first question, one way of returning safely to school is for children to be vaccinated, and maybe before the reopening, it would be a good time for parents to make sure that their children get vaccinated.
Minister Anthony said the low vaccination rate for adolescents is not encouraging. Therefore, he is urging parents to get their children vaccinated.
Since the duration of the pandemic, we would have seen at least 10,078 persons under 19 who would have gotten COVID. That amounts to about 15% of the cases. So our total number of cases so far has been 63,202. So with the 10,078, this is approximately 15% of all cases have been persons under 19.
Dr. Anthony went on to say the ministry would keep putting measures in place to monitor the pandemic. The health minister is urging parents of children aged 5 to 11 to ensure that their child or children continue to follow the COVID-19 precautions that were in place before they were eased to safeguard them from the disease. He said the ministry is working to acquire the vaccine for that age group.
So in the 5 to 11, we are working to access those vaccines, and once children return to school, the idea is that they should wear a mask and do the sanitizing and so forth. These are non-pharmaceutical measures that one can use. So we'll encourage parents to adopt those measures, and as we work towards getting the vaccine. But if the vaccination rates that we're seeing in the adolescent, that's the 12 to 17 age group, it's not really encouraging, because we have these vaccines right now, and yet we have some amount of hesitancy, and children or the parents not bringing their children for the vaccine for the 12 to 17. So when we get the vaccine for the 11 to 5, I hope that we will get parents bringing out their children.
Officers of the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, acting on information received, went to a location at Diamond New Housing Scheme, East Bank de Marara, and arrested 3 males, ages 37, 42, and 47, in connection with the discovery of over 12 pounds of marijuana on Monday, March 21st. During the operation, the officers discovered 6 brown parcels wrapped in transparent plastic suspected to be marijuana. The trio and the parcels were taken to the Kanu headquarters. The substance was weighed and confirmed to be marijuana. Kanu said the drugs carry a street value of $6.3 million. The 3 men remain in custody as investigations continue. Don't go away after the break. China. Authorities struggling to contain Omicron outbreak, and Biden warns of evolving Russian cyber threat to the US. But before that, here's the bridge retraction schedule.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Maison Francois is the chocolate paradise of Guyana. From the moment you enter our store, you are welcomed by the sweet aroma of Belgian chocolate, pastries and other artisanal treats handmade by our European-trained chef. Our convenient location at the City Mall is the perfect place to take that special someone or to take home a little sweetness. So treat yourself with a taste of Paris in the heart of Georgetown, only at Maison Francois.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
In a world filled with copycats and ever-changing trends, make your property stand out with unique concrete moldings. Different, exquisite designs carefully handcrafted to suit your style, with various customizable and antique and modern designs made at our factory. Antique and modern molding establishment. We make your property outstanding. We make and install all moldings anywhere in Guyana.
The best quality, affordable prices, on-the-spot quotes, and no hidden fees.
Call us or WhatsApp us at 684-5050 or email us at modernestab@gmail.com. Antique and modern molding establishment, made to stand out.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 4-6 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop, be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. On Tuesday, reggae musician Jah Cure was found guilty of attempted manslaughter and sentenced to 6 years in prison with credit for time served. The 43-year-old reggae artist, whose actual name is Secretary Alcock, appeared in court in the Netherlands to address allegations related to the stabbing in the stomach of an event promoter on October 1st, 2021 at Dam Square in Amsterdam city centre. Jah Cure was in Amsterdam for a show. Jah Cure claimed that his acts were in self-defense and that he had picked up a knife before meeting the victim, not to stab the victim, but to protect himself since he was wearing an expensive watch. Jah Cure's legal team may decide to file an appeal. Internationally, the Taliban administration in Afghanistan has announced that girls' high schools will be closed hours after they reopened for the first time in nearly 7 months. The backtracking by the Taliban means female students above the 6th grade will not be able to attend school. Al Jazeera's Victoria Gatimbi reports.
The day started so well for these girls in Kabul as they returned to school for the first time in 7 months.
Thank God, the Taliban are also like the previous government. Now I don't have any concern about what I have to wear or whether to go to school or not. My family has allowed me, and thank God, now the Taliban has also given us permission to go to school. We are very happy.
But a few hours later, that sense of optimism had completely disappeared. The Taliban-led government suddenly ordered most secondary schools for girls to close. Students packed up their bags and headed home.
I was happy and excited when I found out I was going to school. But we were hardly there for 30 minutes when they kicked us out and shut the door and left us hopeless.
It isn't fair that boys are allowed to go to schools and girls aren't. What have girls done wrong? We want our schools to reopen like before.
Girls in Afghanistan have been waiting for months to attend school. The Taliban pledged to provide them with access to an education after its takeover in August. But since then, most girls have been banned from going to school after the 6th grade. Taliban officials now say they need even more time to create gender-segregated facilities.
I think it's very sad to see after all those months, which is the girls in Afghanistan were been waiting for that day that the schools will be reopened. And unfortunately, today was a very disappointment that they turned back their home without any results. It shows that Taliban are not reliable. They cannot fulfill their promises.
The Taliban's been widely condemned for depriving women and girls of an education. The international community says the right to an education must be upheld if the Taliban-led government wants to receive much-needed aid. Victoria Gatenby, Al Jazeera.
16 million people have been put under lockdown in China as it faces its worst coronavirus outbreak since the pandemic began. Beijing says it's maintaining its zero-tolerance policy, but many of those under lockdown are losing their patience. Al Jazeera's Katrina Yu reports.
Chinese authorities are racing to contain a fast-spreading Omicron outbreak, but they're struggling to move fast enough. This week, millions of residents living in the cities of Tangshan and Shenyang in the north were put under varying levels of lockdown. Nationwide, thousands of new infections continue to be reported daily, and officials are still responding with rigid mass testing, contact tracing and quarantine, an approach they call dynamic zero COVID.
We have the necessary groundwork, the right circumstances and the capability to implement a dynamic zero infection approach. These past years of epidemic prevention have proven it's effective and in line with China's reality.
The first deaths from the virus since 2020 were recorded on Saturday. Dozens of officials have been sacked for failing to control local outbreaks. In the southern city of Shenzhen, videos of rare protests against extended lockdowns are posted on social media. Most of those living in the tech hub resumed normal life on Monday, but some neighborhoods remain closed off. While frustrated voices may not be enough to change the government's approach to the pandemic, the health of the economy is proving more of a concern. Chinese President Xi Jinping has stressed the need to minimize the impact on productivity.
What we are seeing is a slightly more nuanced approach. How do you work around COVID zero? How do you make it more targeted? I would call it COVID zero 2.0 perhaps, to really figure out, okay, because you cannot shut commerce down. So what are the mechanisms you need to come up with?
Shanghai, the country's main financial hub, has avoided mass lockdown despite rising infections, though Disneyland and other entertainment venues have been closed until further notice. Doctors in the northeastern province of Jilin have begun treating COVID patients with Pfizer drug Paxlovid, though foreign-made vaccines are still banned. Authorities say most of China's population is vaccinated with homegrown jabs, but lower rates among the elderly remain a concern. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
And finally, the United States has warned of a coordinated NATO response if one of its members is hit by a cyber attack from Russia. Moscow denies it is planning one. Al Jazeera's Alan Fisher reports.
The US says it's seeing the foundation of Russian cyber attacks on the US. It's monitoring scanning efforts, essentially hackers probing for weak spots. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says any such attack on a NATO member will bring a coordinated response.
We could see circumstances in which a collective response by the alliance to a cyber attack would be called by an ally. That is absolutely something where we and other countries could bring capabilities to bear to help a country both defend itself and respond to a particular cyber attack. Now, that's not necessarily the same thing as a military response. That response could take many different forms.
When Presidents Biden and Putin met in Geneva last year, the US president said key areas of infrastructure should be off limits to cyber attack. That was in response to the 2020 SolarWinds attack. Federal servers were hit, 30,000 private companies and public organizations impacted. Washington says the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service was behind that hack. And addressing business leaders on Monday, Joe Biden warned them to get ready.
The magnitude of Russia's cyber capacity is fairly consequential, and it's coming. The federal government is doing its part to get ready, but let me be absolutely clear about something. It's not just in your interest that are at stake when there are potential use of cybersecurity. It is the national interest at stake.
The Russian government denies it's planning cyber attacks, saying it would not resort to what it calls banditry. But officials here believe it's a way for Russia to strike back at the US for providing weapons to Ukraine without escalating the actual fighting. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera, at the White House.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. And that is all for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Updates. Tune in on Thursday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.